Mishima has gifted me in the fact that he is doing the fights pretty much exactly how I wanted them to go. He's having them starting with Selene and Suzaku. I get a little bit extra of what Selene and Suzaku like content I was hoping for. I was hoping for like a chapter, and then like we'd get like that chapter would end with the whole stuff setting up the rematches. But we actually pretty much got like that, a chapter and a half of the Selene versus Suzaku content, and then going over and doing the setup like I was hoping for. And then much like I would have guessed, starting with Mimi and Lucy, because I think their fight is going to be a lot easier. Mimi doesn't have the seemingly OP crazy ability that Hakune has, because Hakune's whole you don't get to use any of your powers ice ability is really unfair, whereas like so far Mimi just seems to be like a really big tank. There hasn't been anything from her that's really been that outstanding in terms of like comparing her moveset and her abilities to Hakune or Ryoko. I mean, we don't have the full description of it. She could just be like a super tank, but at the same time, like that's she would be by far the lowest on the totem pole for the Moonlit Beauty Gods. Like the Moonlit Beauty Gods, at least from what we've seen, maybe there'll be more besides like these three, but so far Mimi is by far the lowest one, because I don't really see anybody besides Lucy having this much of a problem with her. Because like even Wendy, like Wendy isn't like the most physically strong fighter. She's still a Dragon Slayer. She still has like powerful melee attacks. Whereas like Lucy is a summoner. Like they're known for not having the most sturdy and strong physical strengths and body. So I never put it past her or put it like really against her for not being able to hold up against Mimi's physical strength. Like Mimi is like a very good counter to Lucy, because she can't really use Gemini, and that's like one of the things that's really screws her over. And it's like someone like Gemini, who it's like, okay, she can copy somebody's abilities and in magic if they have equal to or lesser magic than her, and it's one of the things like I feel like she would gain the advantage of obviously having Gemini turn into her, but at the same time I feel like Gemini should still be able to turn into her, because she's just using spiritual arts. I wouldn't imagine she's got magic the same, unless she also has magic. Maybe that's going to be a thing that will kind of like cover ground for Mimi, as she'll also have magic, and that'll be what kind of counters that aspect from Lucy. But we'll see. Either way, like the fight, I was very happy with the ending of chapter 82, how Lucy wasn't just like, she hadn't gotten into like her flex with any of her really like transcendent new abilities. She was mostly just kind of swapping between her star dresses and stuff. But I really liked her whole statement about how, after seeing Aquarius and being with her friends again, she essentially gained the confidence again to fight Mimi. And like she didn't seem like she just automatically got a power up in order to, I'm near friends, I got a boost. I know people like to meme on Fairy Tail for stuff like that, but like it's outright not what happened in this. She was pushing back a little bit against Mimi, but it's not like she just beat Mimi in this whole scenario. I think she's gonna have to either use like Eratometria or a new Star Dress mix, or something, maybe even like a brand new upgraded, like if she's gonna have two like spells completely like we wouldn't have expected, like combining, or a new spell that she's gonna make up. I could see that, like some form of new version of Eratometria, like she's had an idea of how to create a new version or like an upgraded version using her keys. We'll see exactly how that's going to go, but obviously the next chapter is going to focus on Mimi versus Lucy, and I have way more hype on the Gray Hakune fight, primarily because, I want to see what Gray's transcendent magic is and how he's going to counteract Diamond Effect and stuff. But I'm still very interested in seeing Lucy versus Mimi, mostly because I want to know more about Mimi's abilities, because I feel like she has to have more than just being really physically strong and stuff. Because, like I've mentioned so many times that if that's the extent of what her like spiritual arts and her abilities are, then like she's not even remotely close to the other Moonlit Beauty God. The Moonlit like we only have two others, so it's kind of like easy to put her at the bottom. But looking at Yoko and looking at Hakune, both of their abilities were much better, and like Hakune has really good hacks, whereas Yoko had a really rounded moveset. Like I mentioned, she's got like everything she needed to have to be like a pretty successful summoner that's just spamming yokai and stuff. Whereas like Mimi she's just physically strong. again, I'm hoping that Mimi has more to her than that. But from Lucy, like, as soon as we get to the next chapter, I'm hoping we get a little bit more of her wording over, like, what she said at the end of the chapter. And maybe get some more words from her just to have, like, more, like, moments of confidence. Maybe her, like, doing a little trash talking. I think that'd be pretty fun. I would really like to see Lucy have a little bit of trash talk in fights, because she's usually a lot nicer. There have been times where she's, like, done some really good, just some really good trash talk. I remember when she was telling off Gajiel back in Phantom Lord at how, like, he and the rest of Phantom Lord that, you know, were essentially going to, like, live in fear, like, of Fairy Tail's encroaching shadow for the rest of their lives. And we know, obviously, like, Gajiel and Juki ended up becoming inside of the guild, but, like, everybody else in there, gone. And we don't even know what happened to Josei. Like, he's just gone. Who knows where he's at? But I do really look forward, still for the most part, to see what Lucy does in order to overcome Mimi. There's still a lot of potential I see in Lucy for this arc. I fully believe that she's going to be a key factor in defeating Selene, just because with Selene's portals and her level of spatial manipulation, you need to have somebody at least capable of dealing with her portals if she was going to try and teleport anybody around. And there are ways, like, that, you know, you could have other characters, like, mess in them. Like, you know, maybe Natsu burns the portals. Like, maybe after getting his transcendent magic, he could do something like that. Or maybe Suzaku, just focusing on them, could cut him or something if they end up teaming up. But Lucy, I think, is the best one for the matter, because her magic's, like, celestial spirit magic, besides just the celestial magic itself, is a form of spatial magic. So if she's able to get to the extent, you know, not even, like, fully up there, but, like, somewhere like with Anna, where Anna can open and close concepts like the space between time, then closing Selene's portals, I think, is something that she should be capable of. Or, like, not entirely, like, I don't think she could just match Selene one for one on portals, but say like some stuff set up and she's able to just kind of, like, you know, all of her focus, not attacking or doing things, she's just essentially on portal duty. And it's funny because it's like, it doesn't sound important, like you're just like, hey, you're on job of portals. You know, it sounds almost like, you know, like some form of low tier kind of grunt job when you just say it like that. But it's like, no, that would be one of the most crucial jobs in fighting Selene. As I mentioned it before, against Selene, whether it's she's teleporting, or herself, at any point she can just change the whole setup. Like, imagine, like, getting all these characters, like whatever reasons, like, we end up getting the Diablos team, the Fairy Tail cast, and multiple other characters all up against Selene. And then she just says, no, and then she teleports half of them away. And she just is like, alright, you are the ones that are going to fight. And then she, you know, you just cut forces down entirely to what her wants are. Like, Selene is a dangerous opponent just from that. And not even talking about the craziness that we got in Chapter 82, like, of her, like, affecting Earthland from a completely different dimension, you know, her messing with the moon, making it, like, bigger than a planet. Like, people looked into it, it's like the sheer size increase that she gave, it was, like, bigger than Earth. Like, they're gonna need a lot of help to defeat her, and like I said, outside of just her general, like, dragon god level of powers, her portals are a dangerous thing, so, like, Lucy's gonna have to have a lot coming up from that. But with Mimi, I think with Mimi, like, the best thing we can really get is more of a, like, essentially like a measuring stick kind of fight. Like, Mimi is very clearly the comedic one out of the Moonlight Beauty Gods. Like, Mishima always has a sillier one in groups. He always has one that's more comedic. You look at the Seven Kin of Purgatory, got Kane Hikaru. You look at the Nine Demon Gage, got Franmoth. You look at the Spriggan, you have Jacob. You know, all of them have a silly one. The closest one you could really kind of say, like, wasn't that silly was the Racion Sace, but they had Hot Eye, who is still pretty silly. So, Mimi, I don't expect her to be crazy, but I do hope that she is at least able to put up a performance that really kind of holds into her rank. Like, because right now, like, I'm not talking about, like, power level stuff, but really all she has right now is scaling. And I know it's like, she doesn't need to have, like, crazy feats to kind of do stuff. It's like her ability, I think, is the biggest thing. If she just has, like, a lackluster ability, it's going to really just make her so underwhelming in comparison to Yoko and Hakune. Like, I'm really hoping she at least has some description of her ability that really helps. Like, I mentioned in I mentioned multiple chapter reviews and stuff ago. Like, what if her ability was like almost like a form of spatial magic or something? Like, imagine if the reason she's like immovable, it's like she locks herself into the terrain of like X amount of distance. Like, just imagine like a square mile. Just a square mile, she is locked into this level of terrain, just like a square mile of land, and it's like you'd have to be able to move that level of weight to move her or something. And then you have like Lucy, pretty much like if she, like the whole idea, like if she can kind of use her spatial magic to counter other people's spatial magic, you know, just in theory. Imagine if she canceled that out and then was just fighting Mimi without that dangerous, like pretty dangerous ability. Because like even though that wouldn't be. That's not, like, something that would, like, level up to something like a Spriggan, whereas, like, Yoko and Hakune really have, like, pretty fair abilities, like, especially Hakune, obviously. But it would definitely give Mimi a lot more ground to her rank and position as, you know, somebody directly under Celine. But we'll see. I'm sure that Mishima's not just going to give her, I'm physically strong, I'm a tank. That's not the worst thing, but it's just, like, she'll be, like, she'll legitimately just be, like, the, hey, we needed a third person and we didn't have anybody else. Come on in. Like, she's got it. She's shown to be strong, but when you really compare it to like other people of like her rank and even like the God Seeds, like they all had really good abilities. Like even Metro, who had like the least impressive his ability, was impressive for what it did of having these big spammable golems that were able to, you know, tank Spriggan level attacks and stuff from people like Gajeel. But anyway. Other than that, though, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this and like how you think this next chapter is going to go. I'm definitely interested. I'm always hyped for some Lucy content, and I really want to see how exactly she goes about this. And then after that fight, we'll get to the stuff with Gray. I've been really wanting to see Gray's transcendent magic and to get to see some new W's for Gray. Like I've mentioned a million times, he hasn't gotten a lot in terms of his moveset and feats and stuff in 100 Years Quest. He's got a lot of character stuff, but nothing in terms of like fighting and whatnot. Anyway, other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video, befriend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate every subscribe. Thank you all for listening. Bye.